morning sun rose over New Haven Colony like it had done for 20 years. Captain Heejin stood at her office window, watching miners prepare for their shift. She sipped her coffee and smiled. Life here was peaceful. The colony had grown from 300 people to 50,000. They mined rare metals from the moon's crust and sent them back to Earth. It was honest work. Good work. Heejin had been a soldier once. She fought in the colonial wars before retiring to this quiet place. Those days felt like a lifetime ago. Now she managed schedules, approved mining permits, and solved disputes between neighbors. It was boring compared to military life, but she preferred boring. War had taken enough from her. Her computer beeped. A message from the orbital station. Probably another supply request. She walked to her desk and opened it. Her coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. Unknown ships. 6 of them. Coming fast. Heejin's hands moved before her mind caught up. She hit the alarm button. Sirens wailed across the colony. People stopped working. Children looked up from playgrounds. Everyone knew that sound. They had drilled for this moment, hoping it would never come. The ships appeared on her screen. They were massive, covered in weapons. Not human design. Not even close. Aliens. Heejin grabbed her radio. Her voice was calm, but her heart pounded. She had trained for this. Every colony captain had. This is Captain Heejin to all defense personnel. Battle stations. Civilians to shelters. This is not a drill. She opened a second channel. This one went much farther. All the way to Earth. The message was simple. 3 words that would change everything. New Haven. Under attack. On the alien flagship, High Commander Vexthor watched the small moon with amusement. His scales gleamed under the bridge lights. He had conquered 30 systems in his career. This would be number 31, humans. He hissed to his crew. I thought they were extinct. His tactical officer checked the readings. A small colony, Commander. Minimal defenses. They are alone out here. Vexthor laughed. It was a cold sound. Humans were weak 300 years ago. They nearly killed themselves in their own wars. These colonists probably don't even have proper weapons. An old advisor stepped forward. Her name was Krina. She was an insect-like creature with too many eyes. She had served the sovereignty for over a century. Commander, she said carefully, the ancient records speak of Earth. They say humans are dangerous when cornered. Perhaps we should... The ancient records are myths, Vexthor snapped. Old stories to scare children. Look at them. They have one small colony on a worthless moon. If they were so dangerous, where is their empire? Where are their fleets? Krina bowed her head. She had seen this before. Pride before a fall. But she said nothing more. Commanders did not like to be questioned. Begin the attack, Vexthor ordered. Make it quick. The first wave of fighters launched from the alien ships. They screamed toward New Haven, weapons charging. Their pilots were confident. This would be easy. They were wrong. Hidden platforms around the moon suddenly came to life. They had been there for years, disguised as mining equipment. Now they showed their true purpose: railguns, missile batteries, laser arrays. The first alien fighter exploded before it knew what hit it. Then the second, then 5 more. The weapons were fast, accurate, and deadly. In 30 seconds, half the first wave was gone. On the flagship bridge, Vexthor stopped laughing. What was that? He demanded. His tactical officer stared at the screen. Automated defenses, Commander. Very advanced. They were hidden. Hidden. Vexthor's voice rose. You said they had minimal defenses. They do, Commander. I mean, they did. These systems were not showing on our scanners. Krina spoke again, her voice soft. Perhaps they did not want to be seen. Perhaps they were waiting. In her command center, Heejin watched the battle through her screens. The defenses were working, but she knew the truth. They could hurt the enemy, but they could not stop them. Not forever. The aliens had 6 massive ships. New Haven had platforms and hope. Her second-in-command ran into the room. His name was Taiman. He had been a pilot before becoming an administrator. Captain, the civilians are in the shelters. Defense teams are ready. But those ships, I know, Heejin said. We buy time. That's all we can do. How long until Earth responds? Heejin checked the timer. Message was sent 5 minutes ago. Earth will receive it in 2 hours. If they send help immediately, it will arrive in 3 days. Taiman's face went pale. We have to hold for 3 days? We have to try. The alien fleet regrouped. Vexthor was no longer amused. He was angry. These humans had killed his fighters. They had embarrassed him. That would not stand. Pull back the fighters, he ordered. Bring all ships to bombardment range. We will destroy their defenses from distance, then crush the colony. The massive ships moved forward, their weapons charged, ready to rain fire on the moon below. Hyojin saw them coming. She gripped her chair. All platforms concentrate fire on the lead ship, she ordered. Make them hurt for every meter they advance. The defenses obeyed. Railgun slugs slammed into alien shields. Missiles found their marks. The lead ship took damage, but it kept coming. So did the others. Then something strange happened. The space around New Haven began to shimmer. Reality itself seemed to bend. Vexthor's crew shouted warnings. Massive energy signatures were appearing. Not from the colony. From everywhere around it, portals opened. Huge tiers in space glowing with blue light. And through those portals came ships. Human ships. Dozens of them. They were sleek, black, and covered in weapons that looked nothing like the simple defenses on the moon. The flagship appeared first. It was twice the size of Vexthor's ship, shaped like a dagger. Its name was painted on the hull in letters that seemed to burn. NS Retribution. On the Retribution's bridge, Admiral Tae-sung sat in his command chair. His face was hard, carved from years of war. Scars crossed his jaw. His eyes were cold as space itself. He looked at the alien fleet on his screen. They had stopped moving, frozen in shock. Good. Fear was a weapon, too. Tae-sung opened a channel. His voice would reach every ship in the system. Human and alien alike, attention hostile forces. This is Admiral Tae-sung of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have attacked human territory. You have harmed human citizens. The ancient texts tried to warn you about us. You chose not to listen. He paused. Let the words sink in. Now you will learn why Earth was silent for 300 years. We were not hiding because we were weak. We were preparing for the day someone would be foolish enough to attack us. On New Haven, Heejin watched her screen with wide eyes. The Earth fleet surrounded the alien ships in perfect formation. Every angle covered. Every escape route blocked. It was beautiful and terrifying. Tae-sung's voice continued. You were warned. Now you will face the consequences. Vexthor finally found his voice. This is High Commander Vexthor of the Sovereignty Third Fleet. We outnumber you. Retreat now or what? Tae-sung's voice was quiet, deadly quiet. You will destroy us? With your 6 ships against our 40? With your primitive weapons against technology you cannot even detect? Commander, you made your choice when you attacked. Now live with it, if you can. The channel closed. For a moment everything was still. 2 fleets facing each other in the darkness of space. Then Admiral Tae-sung gave one simple order. Fire. The Earth fleet opened fire at the same instant. It was not random shooting. Every shot was calculated. Every target marked. The humans fought like a single organism with 40 bodies. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their formations shattered. Ships collided trying to evade. Shields that had protected them for decades failed against weapons that bent the rules of physics. Vexthor watched his fleet die. In less than 5 minutes, 3 of his ships were crippled. In 10 minutes, all 6 were burning. The High Commander slumped in his chair. Behind him, Scholar Krina stood silent. She had tried to warn him. The old texts were not myths. They were memories. Warnings from those who had faced humans before and barely survived to tell the tale. Now those warnings echoed in the darkness. Too late. Much too late. The elders had spoken of Earth's fury. The sovereignty had laughed. Now they were dying in silence. The battle was not even close. Vexthor watched his screens in disbelief as another of his ships exploded. The humans moved like they could read his mind. Every time he ordered his fleet to change formation, they were already waiting there. Every escape route he planned was already blocked. How are they doing this? He shouted at his tactical officer. The officer's hands shook as he worked his console. I don't know, Commander. It's like they know what we will do before we do it. On the Retribution, Lieutenant Byung-ho watched numbers flow across his screens. He was young, barely 23, but his mind worked faster than most computers. The system he had designed predicted enemy movements based on thousands of previous battles. It was never wrong. Admiral, they will try to run in 40 seconds, he said calmly. 3 ships toward the asteroid field. 3 ships toward the gas giant. Admiral Tae-sung nodded. Move Squadrons 7 and 12 to intercept. Nobody leaves this system. 40 seconds later, just as Byung-ho predicted, the alien ships tried to run. They found human destroyers waiting for them. Railgun fire tore through their engines. The escape attempt failed before it truly began. Captain Thulrak commanded one of the smaller alien ships. He was amphibious with blue-green skin and large eyes that saw in multiple spectrums. Those eyes had saved him in many battles. Today they showed him only death. His ship was hit, shields failed, hull breached, half his crew was dead or dying. He gave the order to abandon ship, sending his people to the escape pods. Then he did something that would save his life. He turned his ship around and flew straight at the human fleet. Not to attack, to surrender. Human ships, this is Captain Thulrak. My vessel is destroyed. My crew is evacuating. I am lowering shields and cutting engines. Please do not fire on the escape pods. They are non-combatants now. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a human voice answered. Captain Thulrak, this is Admiral Tae Sung. Your surrender is accepted. Guide your escape pods to coordinates I am sending now. Any deviation will be considered hostile action. Do you understand? I understand. Thulrak guided his pods to the coordinates. Human ships surrounded them, but did not fire. They were taken prisoner. It was better than being dead. The rest of the Sovereignty fleet was not so smart. They fought until their ships were burning wrecks. Some tried to ram the human vessels. None succeeded. The Earth fleet was too fast, too coordinated. It was like fighting ghosts that could hit back. Vexthor's flagship was the last ship standing. It was badly damaged. Fires burned on multiple decks. Life support was failing. Still, the High Commander refused to surrender. Send a message to the Sovereignty Council, he ordered. Tell them to send the 2nd and 4th fleets. Tell them humans have returned and they are stronger than we thought. Tell them to send everything. His communication officer looked up. Commander, the humans are jamming all long-range channels. I cannot send anything. Vexthor slammed his fist on his chair. Of course they were. The humans thought of everything. He turned to Scholar Krina. She had been silent through the entire battle, watching with her many eyes. You tried to warn me, he said quietly. I should have listened. Krina's voice was sad. Yes, Commander, you should have. But pride is a powerful thing. It blinds even the wisest warriors. What do the old texts say happens to those who attack Earth? They die, Krina said simply. Or they beg for mercy. There is no middle ground with humans. They do not do things halfway. A human voice cut through the bridge. It was Admiral Tae Sung again. High Commander Vexthor, your fleet is destroyed. Your ship is dying. You have one choice. Surrender now or I will finish what my gun started. You have 60 seconds to decide. Vexthor looked at his crew, young soldiers who trusted him, followed him, believed in him. Because of his pride, many of them were dead. Because of his arrogance, the rest would die too unless he did the one thing he had never done. Give up. This is High Commander Vexthor. I surrender. My crew surrenders. Please. No more killing. On New Haven, Captain Hai Jin watched the alien flagship power down. The battle was over. They had won. Or rather, Earth had won. The colony. Defenders had barely fired a shot after the Earth fleet arrived. Taemin stood beside her, staring at the screen. Captain, did you know Earth had ships like that? Hye-jin shook her head. No, I knew Earth had a defense fleet, but not like this. This was something else. Should we be scared? She thought about that. The efficient way the human fleet had destroyed 6 ships without losing a single vessel. The cold voice of Admiral Tae Sung. The perfect coordination that suggested years of planning. I don't know, she admitted. But I'm glad they're on our side. A message came through to her console. It was from the Retribution. Admiral Tae Sung wanted to speak with her. Ye-jin opened the channel. The Admiral's face appeared on her screen. He looked tired. Old. But his eyes were sharp as knives. Captain Hye-jin. Your colony defense was excellent. You bought time and made the enemy pay for every moment. Well done. Thank you, Admiral. Your arrival was perfectly timed. Actually, we arrived early, Tae Sung said. We used new jump technology. It cuts travel time by 70%. The enemy did not know that. Yejin felt her stomach tighten. Admiral, if you could get here this fast, why didn't Earth reveal itself sooner? Why stay hidden for 300 years? Taesung's face was stone. Because we were not ready. After the Civil War, Earth was broken. Billions dead, cities destroyed. We rebuilt, but we learned something important. The galaxy is not safe. Sooner or later, someone would come for us. So we prepared. We watched. We waited. And now someone came. Just as we knew they would. So this was a trap? No. We hoped it would never happen. But we planned for it anyway. Hope for peace, prepare for war. That is Earth's new philosophy. Before Hyejin could respond, Lieutenant Byung-ho's voice cut through the channel. Admiral, sensors show multiple quantum signatures, large ships, lots of them, coming from sovereignty space. Taesung's jaw tightened. How many? At least 40 ships, sir. Maybe more. They will arrive in approximately 6 hours. The Admiral closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were hard as diamonds. Captain Heejin, get your people back in the shelters. This battle was just the beginning. The real war starts now. He turned to his crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the sovereignty is escalating. Request permission to activate Project Hellstorm. Byung-ho looked up. Sir, Hellstorm? That's a planet-killer weapon. Are you sure? No, Taesung admitted. But if the sovereignty wants total war, we will give them total war. They chose this, not us. In the prisoner holding area, Captain Thulrak sat with his crew. Human guards watched them but did not mistreat them. They were given water, medical care, and food. Thulrak found this confusing. The sovereignty would have tortured prisoners for information. The humans just asked questions politely. A human officer entered the room. She was young with kind eyes. Captain Thulrak, I need to ask you some questions. Will you cooperate? Yes, he said. I will tell you anything. I do not wish to fight you anymore. The officer sat down. Good. First question. Does the sovereignty know what happened here? No. Commander Vexthor could not send a message. Your jamming prevented it. But more ships are coming. Why? Thulrak's skin turned darker, a sign of shame. It is standard procedure. When a fleet does not report in, reinforcements are sent automatically. The sovereignty does not take chances. How many ships will come? The second and fourth fleets? Perhaps 60 ships total. Maybe more if the council is worried. The officer's face did not change, but Thulrak saw her hand tighten on her data pad. 60 ships, she repeated. That is a lot. Yes. The sovereignty will not make the same mistake twice. They will come with overwhelming force. The officer stood. Thank you, Captain. Your cooperation is noted. She left. Thulrak sat back and closed his eyes. He had fought many battles, seen many enemies, but he had never seen anything like the humans. They were efficient, precise, deadly, and they had only shown a fraction of their power. The sovereignty was sending 60 ships. Thulrak thought it would not be enough, not nearly enough. On the Retribution Bridge, Admiral Taesung received confirmation from Earth. Project Hellstorm was approved. He looked at the weapon specifications on his screen. It was a terrible thing, a star killer. Something that should never exist, but it did exist. Earth had built it, and now they would use it, not on the sovereignty homeworld. Earth was not evil, but on a strategic target that would show the galaxy what humans could do, a demonstration of power that would end the war before millions died. Taesung hoped it would work, because if it did not, if the sovereignty kept fighting, then the galaxy would burn, and Earth would be standing when the fires went out. The elders had warned them. Now the sovereignty would learn why those warnings existed. They would learn in blood and fire and silence. The Sovereignty Council met in emergency session. The chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 30 different species. Today it was full. Everyone wanted answers. High Council leader Vestra stood at the center podium. He was tall with silver skin that reflected the chamber lights. His voice carried authority built over 50 years of leadership. "The Third Fleet has not reported in," he announced. "Worse, we detected weapons fire in their last known location. We must assume they encountered hostiles." The council erupted in shouts. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for caution. A few suggested retreating and forgetting about the whole thing. Scholar Krina stood up. Her multiple eyes scanned the room, taking in every face. She was one of the oldest beings in the sovereignty. When she spoke, even the loudest voices quieted. "I warned High Commander Vexthor before he departed. I told him the ancient texts speak of Earth with fear and respect. He ignored me. Now his fleet is silent. I believe I know why." Veshtra gestured for her to continue. "Please, Scholar, share your knowledge." Krina activated a hologram. Ancient text appeared, written in a language most council members could not read. She translated. "This is from the precursor archives written 5,000 years ago. It describes a species called humans. The text says they are clever, adaptable, and extremely dangerous when threatened. It recommends avoiding conflict with them at all costs." A council member laughed. "That is ancient nonsense. Humans were primitives. They barely had space travel when we last saw them." "That was 300 years ago," Krina said sharply. "Do you know what they were doing 300 years ago? Fighting a civil war that nearly destroyed their entire species. Billions died, but they survived. And in their survival, they learned." She changed the hologram. New data appeared. "I have been studying human history. They fight differently than we do. They plan, they test, they learn from every mistake. And when they finally strike, they strike with total commitment." "You think humans destroyed the Third Fleet?" Veshtra asked. "I think humans were waiting for someone to find them. I think they wanted to see how we would react. And now they know. They know our tactics, our weapons, our weaknesses. We, on the other hand, know nothing about them." The chamber fell silent. Finally, a military commander stood. His name was Gorseth, and he led the Fourth Fleet. "If humans destroyed 6 ships, we will send 60. Overwhelming force. They cannot stand against those numbers, no matter how clever they are." Krina's voice was sad. "That is exactly what Vexthor thought. And now he is either dead or captured." "Then what do you suggest?" Gorseth demanded. "We do nothing? We let them win? I suggest we try to talk to them. Understand them. Make peace before this becomes a real war." Gorseth laughed. "The sovereignty does not negotiate with primitives." "They are not primitives anymore," Krina said quietly. "That is what you fail to understand." The vote was called. Military action won by a large margin. The Second and Fourth Fleets would be sent to human space with orders to destroy any resistance. Krina did not vote. She simply sat down and closed her eyes. History was repeating itself. The warnings were being ignored again. On Earth, in the deep underground facility called War Command, leaders gathered around a holographic display. The display showed the entire galaxy with human and enemy positions marked in different colors. Red dots showed sovereignty fleets moving toward human colonies. General Da Yun, the highest-ranking military officer on Earth, pointed at the red dots. "They are attacking 3 colonies simultaneously. They think spreading us thin will work." President Ho-Jin sat at the head of the table. He was older than most in the room, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had hoped his term would be peaceful. That hope was dead now. "Can we defend all 3? He asked. "Yes," General Dayun said confidently. "We have prepared for multi-system warfare. The Sentinel network will activate at each colony. Our fleets can coordinate across light years using quantum communication. The enemy has no such capability. What about casualties?" The general hesitated. "Military casualties will be minimal. Our technology advantage is significant, but civilian casualties depend on how fast we can respond. Some colonists may die before we arrive." President Ho-Jin closed his eyes. "Activate the Sentinel network. Send fleets to all 3 colonies. And General, give Admiral Tae-sung full authority to use Hellstorm if he deems it necessary." "Sir, Hellstorm is a weapon of last resort." "Are you sure?" "No, but the sovereignty escalated this. They chose to attack multiple colonies. They are testing us. We must respond in a way that ends this quickly, or it will become a long war. And long wars kill millions." At New Haven, Captain Hyejin coordinated the evacuation of non-essential personnel. Families were being sent deeper underground. The shelters could hold everyone, but it would be crowded and uncomfortable. Still, uncomfortable was better than dead. A young girl approached her. She was maybe 10 years old, holding a stuffed animal. "Captain, are the bad aliens coming back?" the girl asked. Hyejin knelt down to the girl's level. "Yes, but we beat them before and we will beat them again. You are safe here. I promise." The girl nodded and ran to join her family. Hyejin stood up, feeling the weight of that promise. She hoped she could keep it. In space around New Haven, something changed. What looked like asteroids and debris suddenly came to life. Hidden defense stations uncloaked. The Sentinel network had arrived, and it was massive. Hundreds of automated platforms, each packed with weapons and sensors. They formed a sphere around the colony, an impenetrable shield. On the Retribution, Lieutenant Byung-ho monitored the network activation. His screen showed green light spreading across the system. Everything was working perfectly. "Admiral, Sentinel network is fully operational. All colonies report ready status. The Second Fleet will arrive at Harmony Colony in 2 hours. Fourth Fleet will reach Genesis Station in 3 hours." Admiral Taesung studied the tactical display. "And here at New Haven? Enemy fleet arrives in 90 minutes, sir." "They outnumber us 3-1. "Good," Taesung said. "Let them feel confident." Confidence makes people careless. A new officer entered the bridge. She was older, with sharp eyes behind glasses. Dr. Sujin, the scientist who created humanity's most terrible weapons. She carried a datapad like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Admiral, I have the Hellstorm specifications. Are you certain you want to use it?" "Not yet," Taesung said. "First, we see if conventional warfare is enough. But if it is not, if they keep coming, then yes, we use it." Sujin sat down at a console. "I created Hellstorm to protect Earth, but using it will change us. We will become the thing we fear. The destroyers of worlds. We are already that," Taesung said quietly. "We were that during the Civil War. The difference is now we control it. Now we choose when and where to destroy. That choice makes us different, does it? Or are we just better at lying to ourselves?" Taesung had no answer to that. Instead, he turned back to his displays. The enemy fleet was approaching. Time for philosophy was over. Time for war had begun. The Sovereignty's Second Fleet emerged from Quantum Jump near Harmony Colony. Commander Zelkor, who led the fleet, immediately ordered attack formations. He had 40 ships under his command. Harmony Colony looked small and vulnerable. "All ships begin bombardment," he ordered. "Destroy their defenses, then land troops. We will take prisoners and find out what happened to the Third Fleet." The fleet advanced. Weapons charged. Then the Sentinel network revealed itself. Hundreds of platforms appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Sovereignty ships. It was like being caught in a trap. "What is this?" Zelkor shouted. "Where did these come from?" His answer came in fire. The platforms opened up with synchronized precision. Every shot hit a target. Every missile found its mark. The Sovereignty ships, designed for offensive warfare, were not prepared for defensive networks that appeared from nowhere. At Genesis Station, the Fourth Fleet encountered the same problem. At New Haven, the combined Second and Fourth Fleet remnants faced not only the Sentinel network, but also the human fleet that was waiting for them. It was a coordinated defense across 3 star systems, executed with perfect timing. The Sovereignty had never seen anything like it. Their forces were designed to attack one target at a time, overwhelming it with numbers. They had no experience fighting an enemy that could be everywhere at once. Captain Thulrak, still a prisoner on the Retribution, watched the battle through a small window in his cell. He saw Sovereignty ships burning, saw their formations collapse, saw his people dying because they refused to listen. A guard stood nearby. Thulrak spoke to him. "Your people fight like machines. Perfect coordination. No mistakes. How do you do it?" The guard looked at him. "Practice. 300 years of practice. We fought ourselves once and it nearly destroyed us. So we learned. We built systems to prevent that destruction from happening again, systems that work anywhere, anytime. You attacked the wrong species." "I know," Thulrak said. "I knew it the moment I saw your ships. But my leaders would not listen. Then they will learn the hard way. Everyone does." The battles raged for 6 hours, then 8, then 12. The Sovereignty fleets kept fighting, kept trying to break through the defenses. But they could not. Every tactic they tried, the humans had already prepared for. Every weapon they used. The Sovereignty Council chamber was silent when Commander Zelkor finished his report. No one spoke. No one moved. The truth was too terrible to accept. 60 ships sent. 20 returned. 40 destroyed or captured. 3 colonies attacked. 3 colonies defended successfully. 0 human casualties reported. High Council Leader Vestra finally spoke. His voice was hollow. How is this possible? How can they be everywhere at once? Scholar Krina stood. This time no one laughed at her words. I have been studying the recovered data from the battles. The humans use quantum communication. Their ships can coordinate instantly across any distance. They see the entire battlefield as one connected system. We see individual battles. They see war as a whole. She activated new holograms. More concerning is this. Analysis suggests humans were holding back. They have weapons they did not use. Technology they did not reveal. They are studying us, learning our capabilities while hiding their own. Commander Gorseth, leader of what remained of the Fourth Fleet, slammed his fist on his console. Then we stop holding back too. We use the Obliterator, and this quickly. The Obliterator, a weapon so powerful it could destroy entire planets. The Sovereignty had built it centuries ago and used it 12 times to end rebellions. It was kept in reserve, a final solution when all else failed. You want to destroy a human colony? Vestra asked. I want to win, Gorseth said. We send the Obliterator to their largest colony. Give them one chance to surrender. If they refuse, we destroy the colony. 50,000 humans dead in an instant. That will show them we are serious. Krina's voice was urgent. That will not make them surrender. It will enrage them. We have seen what humans do when defending. Imagine what they will do when seeking revenge. Then let them be enraged, Gorseth snapped. An angry enemy makes mistakes. We will exploit those mistakes. The vote was called. The Obliterator would be deployed to New Haven. Krina did not vote again. She simply gathered her data and left the chamber. If the Sovereignty would not listen to wisdom, perhaps they would listen to extinction. Earth received the intelligence within hours. A human spy network, hidden throughout Sovereignty space for decades, sent the warning. The Obliterator was moving. Target New Haven. President Hojin called an emergency meeting. His face looked 10 years older than it had a week ago. How long until it arrives? General Dayun checked her data. 36 hours. The weapon is heavily guarded. 40 ships escorting it. They know it is valuable. Can we stop it? Yes, Admiral Taesung has a plan. But Mr. President, if we destroy the Obliterator, the Sovereignty will have nothing left to threaten us with except total war. This is the moment that decides everything. Hojin closed his eyes. What does Admiral Taesung recommend? He wants to use Hellstorm. Not on a populated world. On an empty system that the Sovereignty uses for mining. A demonstration of power. A warning that we can do what they threaten to do, but we can do it better and from farther away. A star-killer weapon, Hojin whispered. We swore we would never build such things. Yet here we are. The Civil War taught us many lessons, General Dayun said. One of them was this. Having terrible weapons prevents you from needing to use them. If we had shown strength earlier, none of this would have happened. Hojin made his decision. Authorize Hellstorm. Tell Admiral Taesung to destroy their mining system, and tell him to make sure the Sovereignty Council watches every second of it. At New Haven, Captain Hyjin received orders to evacuate the colony, not to the shelters, to ships. Every civilian would be moved off-world until the crisis ended. It was a massive operation, but Earth was sending transport vessels, thousands of ships to carry 50,000 people to safety. Taemin found her watching the evacuation progress. Captain, the people are scared. They want to know if we are losing. We are not losing, Hyjin said. We are protecting them. There is a difference. Will we come back? After this is over? Hyjin looked at the colony she had protected for years. The homes, the schools, the mining facilities. Yes, this is our home. No one will take it from us. On the Retribution, Dr. Sujin prepared Hellstorm for deployment. The weapon was not a missile or bomb. It was a device that could destabilize a star's corona, forcing a massive solar flare. The flare would sterilize everything in the inner system. No planets would be destroyed, but anything on them would die. She worked alone, checking every calculation. One mistake and the weapon could fail. Or worse, it could work too well and destroy the star completely. That would kill billions in nearby systems. Admiral Taesung entered the lab. Dr. Sujin, status? Ready, Admiral. I can deploy it whenever you give the order. But please think carefully. Once we use this, the galaxy will know what we are capable of. They will fear us. Fear leads to hatred. Hatred leads to war. They already hate us, Taesung said. They attacked us without provocation. We have two choices. Show strength and survive, or show weakness and die. I choose survival, even if it costs our humanity. Taesung's face was hard. Humanity survived because we were willing to do terrible things when necessary. The Civil War proved that. We are not monsters, but when monsters come for us, we become something worse. That is our strength. That is why Earth survived. The Obliterator Task Force arrived at New Haven right on schedule, 40 escort ships, the massive weapon platform in the center. Commander Gorseth led the fleet personally. He had lost too many ships to humans. This time he would win. All ships battle formation, he ordered. Charge the Obliterator. We give them 1 hour to surrender. After that we fire, but something was wrong. The system was too quiet. Where were the human ships? Where was the Sentinel network? The colony appeared abandoned. Sir, scanning shows minimal life signs on the surface, his tactical officer reported. The colony has been evacuated. Gorseth felt cold fear in his stomach. It is a trap. Find the human fleet. Find them now. The sensors swept the system, nothing, empty space. Then his communications officer spoke, voice shaking. Sir, we have contacts. Multiple contacts. They are decloaking all around us. The entire Earth defense fleet appeared at once. Not just the ships from before, more. Many more. They had been waiting in stealth, completely invisible to sovereignty sensors. Now they revealed themselves in perfect formation, surrounding the enemy completely. Admiral Taesung's voice came through on an open channel. Commander Gorseth, you brought a weapon to destroy our colony. We appreciate the gesture, but the colony is empty. You are alone, surrounded, and you have one choice. I will not surrender, Gorseth said. I am not asking you to surrender. Not yet. First, I want you to watch something. A demonstration. Your council threatened to destroy our colony. Now I will show you what we can do. Not to a colony. Not to a planet. To a star. A new hologram appeared on Gorseth's bridge. It showed the Kalos system, a mining system 30 light-years away. Thousands of sovereignty workers operated asteroid mines there. The hologram was live footage transmitted in real time. Taesung's voice continued. We evacuated the miners 2 days ago. We told them there was a solar storm coming. We did not lie. The storm is coming. We are bringing it, watch. On the hologram, a small device appeared near the Kalos star. It fired once. A single pulse of energy. Then it vanished. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the star began to change. Its surface rippled. Massive eruptions burst from the corona. A solar flare larger than anything natural erupted, spreading outward at incredible speed. The mining stations, empty now, were hit first. They vaporized instantly. The asteroids melted. The outer planets were stripped of their atmospheres. In 20 minutes, the entire inner system was sterilized. Nothing could survive that inferno. Gorseth watched in horror. His crew stood frozen. They had never seen anything like it. The Obliterator could destroy a planet. This weapon had destroyed an entire solar system. Taesung's voice was cold. This is what happens when you threaten Earth. This is what happens when you ignore warnings. We did not want this war. You brought it to us. Now you will end it or we will end you. The choice is yours. What do you want? Gorseth asked. His voice was broken. Surrender. Complete surrender. Your fleet will stand down. The Obliterator will be disabled. You will transmit everything that just happened to your council, and then you will wait while we negotiate terms. And if I refuse, then we destroy your fleet. Then we use Hellstorm on every sovereignty mining system, then every industrial system, then every colony. We will not touch your homeworld. We will not kill civilians directly, but we will destroy your economy, your resources, your ability to wage war, and when you are helpless, when you have nothing left, we will offer the same terms again. Only by then millions will have died from starvation and collapse, Taesung paused. Or you can surrender now. Save your people. Save your civilization. Choose. Gorseth looked at his crew. Young soldiers who believed in the sovereignty, who trusted their leaders. Those leaders had failed them. Pride had failed them. Arrogance had failed them. I surrender, he said quietly. My fleet surrenders. The Obliterator is yours. Human ships moved in to secure the weapon and take prisoners. The sovereignty fleet powered down without resistance. The war for now was over. On the sovereignty homeworld, the council watched the transmission in silence. They had seen their fleet surrender. See? The peace negotiations took place on a neutral station, built specifically for the talks. Neither Earth nor the sovereignty wanted to meet on enemy territory. The station was small but comfortable. Diplomats from both sides gathered in a large conference room. Admiral Tae-sung led the human delegation. He had not wanted this role. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. But President Ho-jin insisted. The sovereignty needed to see the man who defeated them, needed to understand that Earth's military and government were united. High Council leader Veshtra led the sovereignty delegation. Scholar Krina stood beside him. Captain Thularak, who had been released from human custody as a gesture of goodwill, was there too. He would serve as an advisor, having seen human warfare firsthand. The first meeting was tense. Everyone remembered the war, the deaths, the destruction, but both sides knew continued fighting would only make things worse. Tae-sung spoke first. His voice was calm but firm. The sovereignty attacked human territory without provocation. You destroyed property and attempted to kill civilians. Under galactic law, we have the right to demand reparations. Veshtra nodded slowly. We accept responsibility for starting the conflict. What are your terms? First, full recognition of human sovereignty over our territories. No sovereignty ships enter human space without permission. Second, reparations for damages. We will provide a list of costs. Third, establishment of a demilitarized zone between our territories. Fourth, and most important, humanity demands full membership in the Galactic Council with equal voting rights. Several sovereignty delegates gasped. Equal voting rights meant humans would have as much power as species that had been in the galaxy for thousands of years. That is unprecedented, one delegate said. New species must prove themselves worthy over centuries before. We proved ourselves, Tae-sung said coldly. In battle. That is the only proof you understand. You gave us no choice, Krina spoke up. Admiral Tae-sung is correct. Humanity has demonstrated capabilities that equal or exceed our own. To deny them representation would be foolish. We already made that mistake once. The negotiations continued for weeks. Both sides argued, compromised, and slowly built a framework for peace. The sovereignty would pay reparations. Human territory would be recognized. The demilitarized zone would be established. And humanity would join the Galactic Council. But the hardest discussions were not about territory or money. They were about the future. About how two civilizations that had just tried to destroy each other could coexist. Dr. Soo-jin arrived at the station to advise on technological matters. She met with sovereignty scientists, sharing some human knowledge while learning about alien technology. It was awkward at first. Trust was hard. But slowly they found common ground. One evening, she spoke with Krina in the station's observation deck. They watched stars together, two scientists from different worlds trying to understand each other. I created weapons that can destroy suns, Soo-jin said quietly. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a monster. Krina's many eyes looked at her with something like sympathy. The fact that you question it proves you are not. Monsters do not doubt themselves, but I still built them. Because you had to. Humanity nearly died once. You rebuilt with one goal: never let it happen again. We forced you to reveal those weapons. The responsibility is ours. Soo-jin looked at the old scholar. You tried to warn them. They did not listen. No. Pride is a powerful poison. It blinds even the wisest. Now we all pay the price of that blindness. Back on Earth, the reaction to peace was mixed. Some celebrated. Others wanted to push the advantage, expand human territory while the sovereignty was weak. President Ho-jin faced pressure from all sides. He called a meeting with General Da-eun. The expansionists want us to take more territory. They say we earned it with blood. We did earn it, Da-eun said, but taking it would make us conquerors. Is that what we want to be? Ho-jin sighed. I thought surviving the Civil War taught us something. I thought we learned that power without wisdom leads to destruction. Some people never learn. They see strength and want more. They see victory and forget the cost. Then I will remind them, Ho-jin said firmly. We fought for survival, not conquest. That principle will not change as long as I am president. At New Haven, Captain Hai-jin watched construction crews rebuild the colony. The evacuation had been temporary. Now people were coming home. Children played in the streets. Miners returned to work. Life continued. Taemin found her standing at the same window where she had first seen the alien ships. "Captain, are you writing your report?" "No," she said. "I am writing a book. About what happened here. About what we learned. What did we learn?" Hee-jin thought carefully. "That being strong is not enough. You must be wise too. Earth spent 300 years building weapons and defenses, but the real strength was in knowing when to use them and when to hold back. Admiral Tae-sung could have destroyed the entire sovereignty. He chose not to. That choice made peace possible. Do you think the peace will last? If both sides work at it? Peace is not something you win. It is something you build every day with every choice." Lieutenant Byung-ho, now promoted to commander, was given a new assignment. He would lead Earth's first diplomatic corps. His ability to predict patterns made him surprisingly good at negotiation. Understanding how people think, how they react, was useful in peace as well as war. He met with Captain Thulrak regularly. The alien captain was now an ambassador for peaceful coexistence. Together they established cultural exchange programs. Human and sovereignty children would meet, learn about each other, hopefully grow up without the prejudices their parents carried. "Do you think it will work?" Thulrak asked one day. "Can our species truly coexist?" Byung-ho smiled. "We have to try. The alternative is another war. And next time, there might not be survivors to make peace." High Commander Vexthor was tried for war crimes. The trial was fair. He was allowed to defend himself, allowed to explain his reasoning. But the facts were clear. He had attacked without provocation. He had refused to surrender when offered chances. He had endangered civilians. The sentence was life imprisonment, not execution. Earth had abolished the death penalty after the Civil War. Even enemies deserved life, just not freedom. In his cell, Vexthor spent his time writing. He wrote an analysis of his failures, a detailed examination of every mistake he made. The document became required reading in military academies across the galaxy. Both human and alien commanders studied it. His final chapter contained one simple message. "I underestimated them not because they were weak, but because I could not imagine anyone being as prepared as we thought we were. Pride made me blind. Learn from my blindness. Never assume your enemy is inferior. Never ignore warnings from history. Never let arrogance replace strategy." 5 years after the war, the galaxy had changed. Humanity was now a major power. The unified Earth government had representatives on every major council and committee. Human technology, once hidden, was now traded and shared. Human culture spread to other worlds. But Earth remained cautious. The Sentinel network stayed active. The fleet remained powerful. Project Hellstorm was officially decommissioned, its plans destroyed. But everyone knew humanity could rebuild it if needed. That knowledge kept potential enemies from becoming real ones. Admiral Tae-sung retired to a quiet colony world. Not New Haven, where he was a hero, somewhere peaceful where nobody knew his name. He spent his days writing military doctrine that emphasized defense over aggression, wisdom over strength. His most famous work was titled The Philosophy of Prepared Peace. It argued that the best way to avoid war was to be completely ready for it. To make attacking you so costly that no rational enemy would try, but also to treat potential enemies with respect, to give them reasons to choose peace over war. "We survived by being stronger," he wrote. "But we will thrive by being wiser. Strength without wisdom is tyranny. Wisdom without strength is weakness. We must be both." New Haven became a symbol, the colony where everything changed, where humanity revealed itself to the galaxy. It grew larger, more prosperous. But it also became something else, a mixed colony. The first place where humans and aliens lived together as neighbors. Captain Hee-jin, now Governor Hee-jin, oversaw this transformation. She implemented policies that treated all residents equally, regardless of species. It was not always easy. Old prejudices died hard, but slowly it worked. Her book, The Defense of Home, became a bestseller across multiple species. It told the story of the war from a civilian perspective, how ordinary people faced extraordinary danger, how they survived through courage and unity. The book ended with a simple message. War is easy to start and hard to end. Build peace while you can. Dr. Soo-jin redirected her genius toward healing. She established the Cross-Species Research Institute, where human and alien scientists worked together. They developed new medicines, new technologies, new ways of understanding the universe. The weapons she created had saved Earth. The tools she created now would help everyone. One day, a young researcher asked her about Hellstorm. "Dr. Sujin, do you regret creating it?" She thought for a long time before answering. "No, it was necessary. But I regret that it was necessary. I regret living in a universe where such weapons must exist. That is why I work now to make a universe where they are